Official welcome, I wanted to open today's space with a land acknowledgement. Land acknowledgements are customs that dates back centuries in many Native nations and communities. More recently, they are an opportunity to pay homage to the indigenous peoples who are the original stewards of the land on which we stand. In spaces like this one, with little indigenous representation here, let this acknowledgement be more than just a statement or a box to check. This acknowledgement is an intentional disruption of our everyday experience existing in a colonized space. It is a reminder that indigeneity is not in the past, it is ongoing and ever present. In fact, Danvers is fortunate to be the home of the Massachusetts Center for Native American Awareness. Perhaps more fortunate than we'll ever know. A land acknowledgement is only the first step in honoring Indigenous peoples, but we encourage you to continue to explore the history and seek education on how to support them now and in the future. With that, I'm proud to invite Milo Clark, a rising senior at Danvers High School and an all-around rock star, to read the town's official land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the town of Danvers is located on the ancestral homelands of the Namkeg and Agawam people. Historical evidence shows that the Namkeg and Agawam were peaceful with their relationship with European settlers. However, their population depleted rapidly due to smallpox and other pandemic old world diseases unknowingly introduced by earlier European colonizers to the East Coast. We pay our respects to the ancestral bloodlines to these tribes, others who may be lost in history, and their descendants who still inhabit the land today.
Thank you so much, Milo. And with that, I would like to officially welcome everyone to the 6th annual North Shore Race Amity Day, the first one to be celebrated here in Danvers. Now, many of you are probably wondering, what is Race Amity? First and foremost, amity simply means friendship. Race Amity is an acknowledgement of the cross-racial friendships that furthered racial equity throughout history. It is a celebration of our multicultural community and an opportunity to elevate kindness, respect, and civility across racial and ethnic differences. A particular cross-racial friendship in history that I'd like to elevate for you all today is the one between Sylvia Rivera, a brown-skinned Puerto Rican transgender woman, and Marsha P. Johnson, a black transgender woman and self-identified drag queen. Together, these women were involved in the Stonewall Uprising and subsequent gay liberation movement that first took place in the 60s and 70s. Together, they faced racism and transphobia that was present even within that movement, and went on to establish the STAR House, the Street Trans Action Revolutionaries House, for LGBT plus youth experiencing homelessness, with emphasis on supporting youth of color. To me, their friendship is a reminder of the diversity even within the phrase people of color. It is also a reminder of how racism cuts across all other forms of oppression. In these times where lesser known histories are still being buried and racial violence is rampant, it is more important now than ever to reflect on the power of race amity and how cross-racial friendships can produce comfort, hope, and a path forward towards racial equity. To borrow some words of Lawrence Swain Barthold from Heathmere, celebration does not mean we turn away from the painful truth and egregious violence. Friendship involves being present for and attending to the other through comfort and discomfort. As we gather today, let us hold ourselves open to the joy and strength that friendship brings, and then be prepared to channel that joy and strength into action for change. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my new friend and colleague, Wangari Fahari. Wangari is a Kenyan singer, writer, activist, and founder of the Fahari brand. When she's not blessing the community with her creativity, she also serves as my counterpart, Director of Equity and Inclusion, over in Beverly. So thank you so much for being here today, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Director Jasmine Malone. I am so happy to be on this ground again, this time to celebrate this wonderful cross-cultural collaboration I'm here with my partner, my life partner for 14 years, Paul Tebow. We play music together, we collaborate together, we have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old together. We've toured the world, the nation, and I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate this day than to invite him to join us. My name is Wangari. I'm originally from Kenya, and I use 3 different languages to bring us together. One of them is Swahili, which I consider one of the greatest bridge languages because it was created to bring different cultures together. Kenya is as big as Maryland, and we have over 43 tribes, different culture, different traditions. We don't intermarry, but we came up with this one language that allows us to communicate and that's what for me Amity means, like race amity, tribal amity, just being able to come to this space of unity. Whether we are similar, whether we are different, there's always that opportunity to love one another from the deepest parts of our heart. On that note, I'm thinking of what song to start. There's hundreds. And I thought of Fahari, which is the reason we started working together. Fahari means pride. It also means joy. And Fahari is also a pride that comes with identity. So I don't know, I think that might be a good place to start. Fahari wangu, my pride. Begin to look at yourselves as human now. For black is beautiful, beautiful. It's where the diamonds come from. Nilipoyaona macho yako, kweli nilihisi upendo wako, sikujiona bila wewe, ulikamilisha maisha yangu. Niliposikia sauti yako, Fahari wangu, Fahari wangu, moyo wadunda, dunda, kila nikikuona wewe. Imara kama simba ikiguruma, naitika. Watoto wako tuko tayari mama, kumbuka habari, tuwe nawe Afrika. Born in King Williamstown, Steve Biko paved a bright way to begin to look at ourselves as human now. For life is beautiful now. Celebrate one another, party, 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 This might be a good one. Feel free to move your body. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Thank you, Denvers. Thank you to your leadership. Thank you, Mayor Cultural for Center Engagement. Coming from far, I feel I could fly. Few steps from fear, but I hold on tight to your love. Together in the light, and I feel alright. But when you're near, I can't resist these thoughts of you. For all my life, I've been looking for someone to love, someone just like you. All my life, I've been looking for someone to love, someone just like you. And I know of a love to be true, despite the differences we bring. For you know just how to wipe away my blues. No other friend can take your place on my life. All my love I'll give to you. All my love I'll give for you. My love, my love. Thank you, Paul, for being here. And greetings from my mother and my two daughters. They're in Beverly. They really wanted to be here, but it included me being late. So I give you their greetings. They're missing you today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm trying to think of how to close this. Might invite you to maybe suggest, I have a few ideas. City of the Sun? Let's do City of the Sun. City of the Sun invites us to the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro. Our cradle, where we all connect and belong. English of the mind, yeah. Eva, 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 mama, living in a world where man stands alone and God for us all. Walking like strangers on the streets with no smile. Matters of yesterday won't fade, no, won't fade. So hold our hands, together we will go to the city of the sun. Together, oh mama, oh mama, oh mama, mama Africa. Together, oh mama, oh mama. All right, let's try this again. This is it. Oh mama, oh Denvers, oh mama, Ocarioen, Gonya Kerema Kyonyara, Korea Papa Karaga, Tuhore Daram, Twinanyim, Ginyagoke, Ginyagoke. Oh, mama, oh, mama, mama, Deva, mama, oh, mama, mama holding us right now, oh, mama, the land we walk on, mama, our community, mama, we stand together, mama, 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 Africa. To all the nations of the earth, North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, all the people of the world, loving one another. Oh, mama, mama. Thank you, Denvers. We love you. I'll be on guitar. It was so much fun. I wish you a wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so humbled by your invitation. And I enjoyed singing to you, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please, let's give her another round. Well, I'm D. Joko. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the chair of the Denver's Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. And once again, thank you all for being here. I'll just take a minute before I introduce Dr. Rice, that's going to be helping us with the proclamation, the Race Amity Day proclamation. I'd like to acknowledge our town manager, who is here, Steve Bata. And I also spotted our state representative, Sally Cairns, who is here, as well as our state senator, John Lovely. Thank you so much for being here. And all the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee members, if you could please wave. These are the people who work tirelessly to and one person that doesn't always get acknowledged is Lauren. Lauren from Kidmere. Thank you, Lauren, who is behind. She did all this along with Jacqueline, so thank you. It's an honor for me to introduce to you Dr. Rice. Dr. Rice is currently the chair of emergency medicine at Salem Hospital, and as a social activist dating from the late 1970s, beginning with the anti-apartheid movement in the Union of South Africa, along with anti-discrimination work in the US. He branched out to looking at injustice everywhere and seeing the political connection and trends, try to strategize how to end all oppressions. It's my honor and a privilege to welcome Dr. Philip Rice.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you very much for inviting me here. This is, even though medicine and emergency medicine has kind of been my heart and soul for over 40 years, this is actually what I live for. is to speak up and speak out on all the injustices that we see, not just in this country, but around the globe. And it's with that I wanted to invite everybody to join with me in celebrating this proclamation. And it's Race Amity Day in the town of Danvers. Whereas the town of Danvers is comprised of multicultural, multi-ethnic, and multi-racial citizens from all over the world. And whereas friendship, collegiality, civility, respect, and kindness are commonly shared ideas of the community, and whereas the town of Danvers strives to continue to become a better and more welcoming place, and whereas the town of Danvers supports the Great Seal of the United States of America, which bears the inscription E Pluribus Unum, which translates from Latin as out of many, one. And whereas the E Pluribus Unum initiative has invited communities across the United States of America to join in introspection and reflection on the beauty and richness of the diverse people of this great nation, while reaching out with the spirit of amity toward one another annually on the second Sunday in June. And whereas H 2745, chapter 163 of Acts of 2015 of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts establishes the second Sunday in June annually as Race Amity Day, and whereas Charlie V. Baker, then governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, proclaimed June 10th, 2018 to be Race Amity Day, now therefore let it be proclaimed in the town of Danvers that the second Sunday of June in the year 2023 and every year henceforth to be Race Amity Day, and urge all citizens of the community to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance.
Thank you. Okay, we're just going to have a moment of setup for our next event. So if Dave and Charlie want to come down. Okay, can you hear us okay back there? I think we're supposed to hold the mic like this, by the way. So welcome everybody, town of Danvers, and I know we have some outsiders too from Beverly and beyond. So thank you so much for coming out for Race Amity Day. My name is Lauren Bartol. I'm the executive director of the Heathmere Center, and we do public dialogue programming to bring people together to talk across difference. So I'm here today. We have a very exciting component that we've been trying to do for the last couple of years of Race Amity, where we bring together two friends of different races to talk about their experience with each other. So I'm really honored to welcome to my right, Dr. Charles Desmond, who's a decorated U.S. Army veteran and distinguished community and thought leader. He spent 30 years at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, in a variety of leadership positions focused on student affairs, community collaboration, and academic leadership. In 2008, he was appointed by Governor Deval Patrick to the Massachusetts Board of Higher Ed and subsequently served as its chair until 2015. Currently, he serves as president of the Hildreth Stewart Charitable Foundation, a Boston-based family foundation supporting nonprofit organizations working towards a just, equitable, and sustainable society. And to my left is Mr. David McKenna, who's a longtime Danvers resident, having lived here since 1962. Anybody can beat that? And who attended St. John's Prep. I know there's at least one prep student here whom I will not embarrass, but shout out to the prep. Dave has been extremely active working for change in Danvers community and has served on multiple town committees, including 12 years on the select board and 15 years, I'll get that later, on the finance committee. While serving on the select board, he worked to form a committee to fight racism and discrimination in response to incidents of graffiti and vandalism in neighboring communities. He's been a member of that committee now known as the Danvers Human Rights and Inclusion Committee, which we heard and saw the representatives of. And he's been a member of this committee for 25 years since its founding. So I'm really excited to have both of these men talk to us today. And I'm going to open it up with the first question is share a story about how you met each other.
Try not to strangle anybody with a cord. I don't remember how many years ago Charlie and I met. It was at one of the Martin Luther King programs. And I saw him walk into the room, this tall, distinguished-looking gentleman, white shirt, tie, and a bow tie, which you don't see too often these days. But Charlie always seems to wear a bow tie. And you know, over the years I've known him. I've come to know the wisdom behind that gray hair and those piercing eyes, and we've become friends and served many years together on the diversity committee. Human rights committee now.
I can say that I actually knew more about Dave before I met him, because he's really a legend in Danvers. He's got such an outstanding reputation as someone who's always been involved and someone committed to all the principles that we all should adhere to with regards to civility and caring for each other and looking out for each other and trying to make the maximum contribution you can possibly make. So when I joined the diversity committee, as it was previously called, one of the suggestions that I made was that, you know, we ought to have a Martin Luther King Drum Major for Justice type of an award in Danvers, because David, to me, was exactly what Dr. King was thinking about when he said that, you know, anyone could be a drum major for justice, that you could, your contributions, however you make them, would be significant. And then the other point relevant to that was he was an uncelebrated hero. He was somebody who did what he did because it was the right thing to do, and as a result of that, he was one of the conditions that we set for the MLK Award. It was that you had to make the contribution that you made without regards to the publicity or the acknowledgments that would come as a result. So the unsung hero, the underappreciated individual who's making a big difference in our town, sort of led to the MLK events in Danvers, and David was the model individual that really drove the thinking about the whole concept. Sorry.
All right. And what is something that you respect in the other person?
Well, as I said earlier, I think Charles is very level-headed and thinks things through, whereas I'm at that age where that little bone in my head that says, maybe you shouldn't say that, is worn out. And I tend to shoot from the seat of my pants sometimes, but Charles has got me aside a couple of times and said, maybe you shouldn't have said that, maybe you should correct it. And I have a couple of times due to his tutelage and common sense. And as I said, very level-headed individual and a good sense of humor.
Yeah, well, David is someone who everybody who doesn't know him should know him, because his wisdom far exceeds that of most people that I know. And I've been around some fairly well-educated and engaged people. But David he's just a towering intellect. He doesn't talk over people, but he does have opinions, which is what he's basically saying in that veiled comment that he just made. But I think you have to respect someone who, as he is respected in Danvers. It's only because everyone knows that when David expresses a view about something, it's something that we should be thinking about. If he brings it to our attention, it's something that we ought to be paying attention to. So I've always admired him, I've always respected him, and I think he's, as I said before, a role model that all of us can learn from.
Great, thanks. And now talk about a time when you had a difference, and how did you deal with that?
I wanted to start the response to this because I don't think we've really actually had any real differences. I think that we've influenced each other's thinking about things. I mean, I think I might have had an opinion about something that may not have been as, well thought through, or looking at all the angles that you could look at for doing that. And what David has an excellent ability to do is to, rationally and calmly and dispassionately express his points of view about things. And as a result of that, I've matured my thinking about some issues that I otherwise might not have been able to see as clearly as he has. So that's influenced me to think more open-mindedly about some of the issues we've dealt with over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I guess I have to agree with that. Again, we usually agree. When we have a difference of opinion, it's usually because I shut off my big mouth before I thought, which I try not to do anymore because I know I'm capable of it. But I've tried to make a habit of listening and not spouting off until I've heard both sides and tried to figure out where people are coming from and how do we find a way to meet in the middle. And I think Charles is very, very good at that as well. So again, I don't really think we've really had any real differences. I do think it's ironic today that the white guy is wearing a black shirt and the black guy's wearing a white shirt, but I'm not sure it makes a lot of difference. And I disagree that we're from 2 different races. We're both members of the human race. And that's what we got to remember, folks.
And the last question, how do you see your friendship advancing racial equity in Danvers and beyond?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll let David close it out. I think that, as David said, we're all part of the human race, but unfortunately, people look at folks through how they present themselves. And, I present myself as a black male, he presents himself as a white male, and a lot of generalizations can be made as a result of that. I think what our friendship is a demonstration of is that there's so much that goes beyond the surface of people. And I think if there's anything that we would share with each other and that we would share with the broader public is take the time to go deeper with people. Take the time to commit yourself to learn more. Commit yourself to be open to the fact that everything that you think may be one way may not actually be that way. And you're not going to basically be able to understand that unless you learn from other people. So I think that our friendship is a mutuality of commitments to the fact that we learn from each other, we respect what we learn from each other, and we grow as a result.
Not sure what I really could add to that, but I would think back 20 years ago, if we'd had this program, we wouldn't have seen so many people of color at it. Danvers was pretty much a lily white community. And that's changing now. I'm glad to see some more people of color because in different religions too, Danvers is a wonderful experiment in a tapestry made of many different colors. It's a wondrous tapestry that we can learn from. There's so much we can absorb from each other's cultures, each other's opinions, if we just take a chance to listen and learn. And I got my hair long. I guess I'm a leftover hippie. I couldn't grow it like this. My mother was alive. She'd have skinned me alive, but she's gone 3 years now, so I can let it grow again. Figured she'd get back to yell at me, but she didn't. But I grew up in the era of peace and love, and I believed, and I still believe in it. I think if we work together, we can make this world a better place. And that's what I'm committed myself to, and that's why I formed the committee, because I think that it's something that we all can do together. We have to do it all together. And the big trick is to listen to each other. We tend to open our mouths, and once our mouth is open, we stop listening. So listen first, and then respond to what the other person actually said. Not what you think they said. Learn to listen. It can make a big difference, people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave and Charlie, and those words were a great segue to our next component, which is where all of you get to have a little mini dialogue with each other, focusing on listening. And to enable this, we have some, are those, those are visible. And also, if you have your phone and you're able to scan the QR code that's around, all of the details of our program are also on there. But I'm just gonna go over these community touchstones. And these are really guardrails that we put out there to promote courageous listening and healing connection, because that's really what this community day is about. So I'm just going to read over them. Use I statements, speak about our own experiences and responses, and avoid speaking for a whole group and making generalization or assumptions about the experience of others. Understand the difference between intent and impact. Try to understand and acknowledge the impact of our words, which might be different from our intentions. Refrain from blaming or shaming self and others. Offer clear and generous feedback, again, assuming the best intentions, and receive feedback with openness and humility. All of us have put our foot in our mouth at times, and we will do so in the future. Practice mindful listening, what Dave was referencing. Try to avoid planning what we'll say as we listen to others. Be willing to be surprised, to learn something new. And then confidentiality this is referring to our dialogues with one another. Take away and share learnings without sharing names. So could we all agree to these communication agreements? And now I'm going to offer 2 dialogue prompts, which we're also going to have up on the easel. I'm going to read them out and then give you about 10 minutes for you to find 1 or 2 other people to answer with. Okay, so share a story about when you befriended someone of a different racial background. What made that possible? So share a story when you befriended someone of a different racial background. What made that possible? And what were some challenges and or benefits? And if you haven't had a significant friendship with someone of a different race, reflect on why you think that's the case. If you haven't had a significant friendship with someone of a different race, reflect on why you think that's the case. Again, our goal in these parent shares is really to help us all reflect more deeply on our own values and practices and to connect with others. So there's no shame here about or competition of who's had the best relationships, etc. Okay, so I'll give you about 10 minutes. Turn to a partner, preferably somebody you don't know, but I understand it's hot. You might not want to get up and move too far. So again, communication agreements are there. Questions again are here. And if you do have a phone, you can scan the QR code. So give you about 10 minutes.
Hi, I'm Pablo. Alison, nice to meet you. So, what would you like to tell me?
Question is,
Right.
I'm thinking about it. And honestly, I'm going to consider my real friendship with the result. The feelings that interactive, I'll do it. My father and position integrate.
Right.
A number of blacks success, president for this guy, who was born sound of young black people. I have this little note on my wow.
Why was that such a big deal? So she seemed to have a freedom that you didn't enjoy.
Like her father and she took me
To your seats or return to standing. I am super excited to introduce our next performer. This is Eve Costarelli with Ole Flamenco. And Eve has a company, Always Be Dancing Expressive Arts, yoga and flamenco for every body. So for over 20 years, Eve has been a teacher of flamenco, tap dance, and yoga, specializing in working with children of all ages and abilities. She practices a therapeutic and body-centric approach that gives her students physiological and psychological benefits from these art forms.
We're so thrilled to have her here with us today to help us all experience the joy of dance. So take it away, Eve.
Thank you so much. I have a little something to say, but I thought I would give you a quick demonstration of flamenco dancing. I'm going to do what's called the sevillanas. I will play my castanets because they're nice and bright. Here's my Olé sign to encourage you all while I'm dancing to say Olé rather than Olé, which is like the bullfighter. You want to go Olé. Let me hear you. Olé. Yeah. Don't have to ask it twice. That was beautiful. So I'm using a new speaker. I'm not wearing my dancing shoes because this is raw. This is real. You're getting it flat out. Let me see what we got. It's not connected to this yet. I don't know why. Can I not turn it on? She's gonna help. Now you just gotta check it out. It's as loud as it goes, so. That's a good time to do it. Here comes a lot of them. Here we go. Okay, so it's a little bit off. I don't have a live husband who's playing flamenco for me, so we're gonna go with you guys are gonna learn a little dancing. It's very important to understand that flamenco, I'm gonna read what I wrote. Can you hear me or should I use a microphone? Thank you. I said flamenco is the perfect dance to learn on Race Amity Day because it too celebrates cross-racial and cross-cultural collaboration, creativity, and community. Flamenco is seen as an art created by the Romani people, travelers, metal workers, animal trainers, and entertainers who left India, passed through Egypt and northern Africa, crossed the Straits of Gibraltar, and arrived in southern Spain, Andalusia. But flamenco, they passed through Egypt and north across the shores of southern Spain into the Andalusia. But the flamenco is a true olla podrida, a melting pot of Spanish, Jewish, and Romani influences, along with other spices such as cinnamon, chile, and chocolate from Cuba, cumin, nutmeg, and cardamom from Arabia, and basil, mint, and fennel from Greek, just to name a few. Flamenco is a mindful art and has always lived in the present moment, but it acknowledges its connection to its past with an understanding that the future will come too. So I'd like to teach you a little bit about the roots of flamenco so that you can understand the deep groundedness that its connection to the earth and to the people that created it. So if you're comfortable, I ask you to stand, but if you like to stay in your seats, you can dance in your seats too. This is for everybody, so all these people over here, you're already standing. So come a little closer, don't be afraid. All right, everybody, come on. Come and learn some dancing. Why I love flamenco so much. I'm just a girl from Brookline, Massachusetts. I live in Natick. What brought me to flamenco? It was this great feeling of doing something below, doing something above, the coordination. And then now you can take flamenco from Spain to Alaska to Zimbabwe to Boston. You can take flamenco everywhere. And it is for everybody because it is a dance of the people. So let's start by learning a little bit about what's called palmas. It's the art of clapping. We'll make two C shapes. So you have a nice kind of puffy sound rather than a slapping sound, right? Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. Now we have to have we're going to make a phrase. We'll stamp one foot and clap 3 times. That's a 4, right? So we're going to roll with that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Listen to this one. 4, 2, 3. That's the end of our sentence. Let's try it again. Uno, dos, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 4, 2, 3. Again. Uno. It's okay. Dos. Tres. Y cuatro. Uno, dos. Whoa. Almost every. Second clapping sounds like this. Ba, 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 ba. 1, 2 has the same ending. Here we go. 1, ba, 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 ba. 2, ba, 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 ba. 3. Now 2 claps. Ba, ba. And it's okay to do ba, ba, ba because it still ends at the same time. Okay, just for fun, everybody on this side of the room is going to do the single clapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and then 2, 3. And then you're going to do it again. And everybody on this side of the room, we're going to do the ba, 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 ba on top of them. And then I'll say switch parts. And we'll try to switch parts. So these guys get to start. You got 1 to go because we got to hear you. So 1, 2, this group goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. Trust you. One more time like that. Boom. Go. The end of this one, switch your parts. 1, ba, 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 2, ba, 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 3, ba, 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 4. Last time goes on. 2, 3, y 4. 1, 2. And then we have a little ending. You guys are awesome. I thought it was, could you hear the rhythms? And that's what happens with flamenco. That's how you get those multiple rhythms happening at the same time. So, here's our ending. Clap in the front, chest, chest, thigh, thigh, stamp, stamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just so you know where we're going. All right, so when you're in a flamenco quadro, a group of people doing flamenco, you have to listen to each and every, you have to have mindful listening. It is like if you're not mindful listening, you make that extra clap and everybody looks at you. Like you didn't know to end because you weren't paying attention to what was going on. So we clapped in, we got the rhythm going, and now we're going to do what would be the singer is singing. So we're certainly not going to be clapping really loud while the singer is stomping our feet. You can't really hear me here, and I'll quickly show you. The bottom of a flamenco shoe, you can certainly come up later, has little nails embedded into the heels and the toes. So unlike tap shoes, it doesn't make the tapping sound. It has more of an ability to walk across the stage and not make the noise. And only when you want to make it hammer, that's when you get the foot sound. Okay. So, doorknobs and apples. Doorknob, pull it back. Ready? Here we go. Reach out, twist and back other hand, and out, twist and back again. Goes tres. Everything's in 4s. Y 4 to the side. Reach. 1. Y 2. 3. Y cuatro. Reach up high and apple. Una manzana. Pull it down. Dos. There you go. Tres. Y cuatro. To the side. Reach up. Brush your hair. Reach up. I just got my hair done on a movie set the other day. Got such a nice do. Don't want to take it out. 3 and 4. And guess what? Okay, so if you're standing and if you're seated, you're going to add a little foot with that. Same foot and same hand, reach forward. Reach and pull. And dos. And then if you're, here you go. Ooh, got a little hips going on. Tres. Okay, other side, side. And back. And dos. And back. Ole. Tres. Y cuatro. Reach and apple. Reach uno. And down. And dos. And down. And tres. Y cuatro. To the side. Reach up. Remember, it's a sexy, fiery dance. So get a little hips going. And here comes our ending. It's number 4. And we come into Ole. So he's done singing now. We broke with him. We knew he heard it in his voice. We made a little call. And we're ready to go to the next motion. Footwork. So for this exercise, you'll just be stamping in your chairs. But if you're standing, you're going to stamp in this kind of manner, like a little bit like a temper tantrum, rather than marching. So you can go back and forth, side to side, just to get that. And with flamenco, we hold our abdomen so nice and strong that my upper body doesn't shift and move when I, right? That's what gives it that allure. Whoa. All right, so we're going to do singles, doubles, triples, and quadruples. Take a breath in and say, ha, ha, ha. It's a natural, relaxing sound. We do it on a habit, but from the Chinese ancient sounds, it is one of the ones that reduces the pressure from the heart and allows you to feel more relaxed. So, all right. Starting with a stamping, I'm using a mirror, but you could be using your right foot or your left. It doesn't really matter. Hands on your hips. If you feel you would like, you're also going to put your hands in the front, like almost like you'd be holding your vest. It's how you feel more comfortable. And I'll lift up my skirt. And here we go. Simple stamping for singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Double time goes 1 and 2, and I sound like Mickey Mouse. 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and what I call takadimi. 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 One more takadimi, then you just go as fast as you can. Arms all the way up. Jump open. Crisscross your feet. Turn around. Ole! Ole! Okay. You guys can just go beep, boop, whatever. You gotta make it your own, you know, you're the ones there, you gotta like, flamenco is all about style of your own. You have to know what you're doing, but then you have to be you while you do it. We're gonna go from the top. Take a breath in, but this time when you say ha, I want you to whisper it. So breathe in. So when I clap, it's kind of a windshield wiper motion, so my arms aren't releasing. All right, here we go. Our stamp first. Stamp, 2, 3, 4. 2, we're all doing the same clapping for this instance. 3, 2 claps. 1, 2. Again, single, 2, 3, triangle, love it. 4, double clap. Pa, 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 dos, pa, 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 tres, pa, 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 cuatro, uno, dos. 1, our break. Stamping. Stamp. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Double time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's what I call Takadimi. Tuck, tuck, tuck. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Jump open, jump across, turn around. Ole! Ole! I don't know if my time is my time up. Should we do it one more time? One more time. All right, one more time. I'd like to play you just what you should be hearing in the background, so you can hear, get a little, just a rhythm.
You might want to put the microphone.
Oh, that's a very good idea. I'll start again. Hold on. Oh, I don't know if this will work. I don't want to take you away from what you need to do. Oh, look at that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all your help, everybody. All right, here we go. Sorry. Can you hold it a little closer? Bum, 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 bum. Clapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't say anything. Here's our break. Hear the music is telling us something. Oops, sorry. This is where we should double up right here. Takadimi. Taka, taka, tak, tak, tak. Let it go. Ah! Jump open. Turn around. Ole! Woo! Oh, thank you all so very much.
Having a good time? All right. We're going to welcome up front some of our high school students who are going to perform some slam poetry for us. So first up, we have Jordan Ortons. Jordan just graduated yesterday from Danvers High School. She has lived in Danvers, Massachusetts all her life. She's a very sociable person,
enjoys spending time with her friends. She has a passion for writing poetry, which she finds to be a therapeutic outlet for her emotions. One of her favorite pastimes is taking long drives up to New Hampshire, where she can clear her head and enjoy the scenery. She's also excited about the future and looks forward to pursuing her interests at Framingham State University in the fall. So, welcome, Jordan.
My poem that I'm going to be reading today is titled Amity Day, which I feel like is very fitting for this event right now. So, we gather here today to celebrate Amity Day, a time to come together and put our differences away. But what if the difference is the color of your skin? What if you grew up black in a white town you were in? You tried to fit in, but you always stood out. You were the only one like you, without a doubt. And you faced discrimination and prejudice too. People judged you by your skin before they even knew you. But you persevered and stayed true to yourself. You found your own community and a sense of wealth. So on this Amity Day, let us remember and reflect on the importance of acceptance and treating everyone with respect.
Thank you, Jordan. Can we have another round of applause, please, for Jordan? All right, next up, we have Daniel Nadovitz. He's a junior at Danvers High School and is heading into his senior year. He is extremely involved with the arts, being a drum major of the Danvers Falcon Marching Band, pitch pipe of the a cappella group Falcon Eyes, performing in lead roles in musicals and plays, and also being a part of many different musical chamber groups such as Pocket Jazz and Vocal Alliance, and you heard them earlier today. In Daniel's free time, he enjoys writing poetry and songs as a way to express himself. So welcome, Daniel.
Hello. This is a poem. It's called "The Window." It's kind of like my journey to like how I became who I am today. I'd just like to share with you guys. Windows are interesting because just like the world, you can look two ways: through it and see the picture, or the reflection in the frame. I take turns looking at both, but they both don't feel the same. The picture is far better and brighter than the reflection's top-notch game. The reflection is the present, my original state. The picture is my future. What I want is my fate. The reflection is reality. The picture is what I expect. However, I am chasing after something that does not feel correct. When I was 5, my picture was simple. I was a funny guy as long as they all laughed, cried. When I was 8, my picture was bigger, far more abstract. I wanted to have friends that really had my back. So I talked to everyone, tried to find my crowd, but constantly found myself pushed around. So my picture cracked, and it changed, and I knew what came next. If being social didn't work in everything, I must do my best. That way, the friends will come to me, and at last I will be set free from the idea of being worthless, from the idea of being lonely, from the idea that in my darkest hour I wouldn't have someone to hold me. And as this picture altered, as the years go on, the goal was not achieved, and the original masterpiece was long gone. I got stuck in the fake smiles, the laugh at discriminatory jokes, of idealistic life of supremacy over equal people, equal folks. I was trapped in the degrading, the self-preservation, hearing slurs be spilled but not disengaging from the conversation. I was imprisoned in my fear, that the thought that if I spoke up, no one would come near, that I'd lose my friends, my peers. In a world where I believe there is no winning, I crown my worst fears, my enemies victorious. And in my defeat, my reflection is far less than glorious. I let my idea of this masterpiece shape me, take me, find the good in me and erase me, just to try and feel like I belonged. When all I really needed was to release myself, to teach myself, to be okay to be myself. I had learned through these people I called friends that I was a white straight male, and that can't break or bend. That other cultures were weird and didn't make sense, that I couldn't accept others if I wanted their presence. And it didn't take long for me to see my heart through. As I walked out the door, I said, "To hell with you." This being the key weapon to my self-doubt, the general leading strong. My abstract original masterpiece glued back together with the melody of a song. And as my heart danced and my soul is healed, my reflection has changed. At last I have prevailed. Someone with me in the image so big and bright. I hope this is not a dream in the night. It's my 8-year-old self looking up at me. He is honest and true when he says, "I'm proud of me."
Thank you again, Jordan and Daniel. Those were beautiful. Please keep writing your poetry and expressing yourself, and we'd love to hear more from you. Thank you.
All right, I'm back. I have the esteemed pleasure of getting to sit with some of the youth from our community to talk a little bit more about race. So I'd like to invite those young folks, you know who you are, to come join me up front and center. Oh, rally. All right, so we need one more. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually pass the mic down the line so that these amazing young people can introduce themselves to you all. So if you could just say your name, what year of school you're in, and what community you're from.
Hello, my name is Milo Clark. I am an uprising senior at Danvers High School. Danvers High School and
Hi everyone, my name is Alana Neesmith. I'm a rising junior at Penn State University. I'm not from Boston, I'm from South Carolina, but I'm glad to be here today.
Oh, I'm Chanel, and I'm in 8th grade, and I'm from Beverly.
My name is Sean, and I'm in 8th grade, and I'm from Beverly Middle School.
Thank you. Yep, give it up. Give it up for our guests, future leaders. So the first question I have for you all to answer is why do you think it's difficult to talk about race in general? And you're welcome to jump in. You don't have to go in order. You can also pass on the question if you'd like, but who feels comfortable starting us off?
from my experience, especially being in a predominantly white public high school, it's really difficult to talk about race because more often than not, there aren't a lot of people that want to listen, and a lot of people don't want to say the wrong thing or ask the wrong question or be intrusive, so a lot of people don't ask and they kind of avoid people and avoid the concept as a whole, leading to not a lot of change being made, and it doesn't create a space for those people that need to have that conversation a place to speak.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, I feel like up until recently, it was very taboo to talk about race. We always like to coin the phrase, well, I don't see color, but it's important that we recognize that there is color and there are differences that come with that and be able to talk about those things. Because if we say, I don't see color, we're erasing the experiences of those who don't necessarily look like us.
My answer is the same as like Milo's and Alana's. Like people don't wanna, be wrong, so they just like not listen at all, and that ends up like you're uneducated and you don't know about it. So like when the time comes when you actually need to know about it, you're saying wrong things and things that like you shouldn't be saying, and you should have learned that stuff before. So I think it's important to learn about it and embrace it.
Another big thing that kind of ties into it is that a lot of people, when brought up any sort of thing about race or ethnicity or culture, a lot of people tend to just freeze up and get uncomfortable. And a huge start is breaking that comfort and allowing a space to talk about these things. And for Danvers High School in particular, a lot of discussions about race aren't very talked about, and even for events like this, The most I saw for advertising was a couple teachers had a flyer just posted on their board in the corner of the room. It wasn't really mentioned. The only time I really heard about it was with people reaching out, like Jasmine reaching out to our school and reaching out to me, because I've worked with Jasmine in a lot of other events. And other than that, in our small group affinity at Danvers High School, it really wasn't talked about, really wasn't mentioned, and there wasn't any sort of advertising or loudspeaker announcement like we've had for so many other events, and it kind of was very swept under the rug.
Thank you all so much. I hope the grown-ups are taking notes. I'm taking mental notes. The next question I wanted to ask you all, and Milo and some of the other Danvers High students helped me come up with these questions, and we were reflecting on how even in Danvers High School, right, where it's 86% white as opposed to the 92% of the rest of the community, so there are kids of color there, they still, more often than not, tend to stick to themselves. So we were trying to think about, the question we came up with was, why do you think that racial segregation persists in the classrooms or in the cafeteria? And I'd be curious if that's also true in Beverly as well.
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah. Why do you think racial segregation persists in classrooms and cafeterias and
I think it's because people, tend to be who they're more like comfortable with, and like people usually in the same race experience the same things, so they might like bond over that more than they would with like a black person and a white person, because they might not have the same struggles.
Yeah, so me and three other students that weren't able to make it today discussed these questions beforehand, and I have some of what they said pulled up here. And a large thing we noticed, because we talked with Jasmine and also we talked with our school's librarian, who mentioned that when her son attended the high school here, which he graduated a couple of years ago, there was a lot of interracial like mixture in friend groups and cafeteria tables and classrooms and who people talk to. And it seems that as we've gotten to a point now, it has gone back to a point where many times people people of the same race are with each other, and it's kind of, we've gotten separated again. And something that we brought up was that, like what you said, with people being more comfortable, and a lot of times people of color seem to be around each other in a sort of like safety in numbers type feeling, especially with a lot that goes on in DHS. And then a lot of it, those challenges kind of stem from people of color being afraid to deal with microaggressions and even just even more intense racial discrimination, and having people look at you in a certain way based on misunderstandings of your culture or of your ethnicity. And then it was kind of it was mentioned that a lot of it was kind of a sense of danger, and then a lot of white people didn't want to overstep boundaries and kind of, in a sense, to avoid being painted as a bad person or someone that did something wrong. They kind of chose to avoid people of color as a general.
Thank you, Milo. And so earlier we asked about talking about race in general, but I wanted to narrow the focus a little bit. When you think specifically about how you go about making friends, what do you think are some challenges with building cross-racial friendships?
Yeah, so I think as we've mentioned kind of as an overview throughout this whole panel, is just overcoming those racial and cultural barriers. When I engage in conversation or friendships with someone who's not of the same cultural or racial background as me, I do it from a place of understanding, which I think is something that we all need to work on more in today's society. Trying to understand the other side's point of view and their experiences, and just learning how to listen to each other more. So when I engage in those conversations and those friendships, I always try to express, hey, my life as a Black woman, this is how I live my life, this is how I navigate, this is the things that I go through, that you might not go through just because you're of a different racial background than me. What are some of the things that you might go through that I might not understand, so we can have that understanding of each other.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that is setting boundaries as well, and communicating with people about how to approach things, and allowing people to come to you for questions and stuff, and without having the need to feel like they have to know every single little detail and have to pry apart your entire identity all in one go. And and it's in a sense it's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable, and it's hard to allow yourself to be in a position where you know that things could go wrong, or you can be in an uncomfortable situation and with the chance of being hurt. And specifically, one of the people that were going to be here, I remember one of my friends, Indigo, who was supposed to be here, mentioned that it's hard because for her to be able to talk to these people, especially with how many different negative interactions she's had in the past with, like, a lot of times it would be like students asking her about her hair and like, hey, can I touch your hair, or reaching in, not even, or asking while they're like, they already have their hand out, they're already running their fingers through her hair, or like, and even talked about how when she was younger it was teachers that would ask about certain things or personal things. They and I also shared how I had similar experiences, where in second grade, I was going out to recess, and one of the teachers kind of just stopped me and just started running her fingers through my hair for however long, and was talking about it. She's like, "Oh, your hair is so smooth, it's so silky," and she's like playing with my hair in her hands, no warning. And she even called over another teacher, who then came over, and they were both running their fingers through my hair for like half of recess. And I was in second grade. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of stopped and I don't know, I kind of just took it as is. And it's kind of weird because you don't want people to you don't want to worry about people breaking boundaries like that in people. Although I'm sure that those two teachers had wonderful intent and they weren't trying to be aggressive or hostile, it's still hard when you know that could be an option, and that could be something that happens.
Thank you. So we also want to make sure that you get some tips or some food for thought to think about as you go into the world and pursue friendships with all kinds of people. So a question I have for you all is, what advice would you give people about how to approach building friendships across difference? What does someone have to do to be your friend?
For making friends with like different race, like bonding, I think bonding over differences would be a good one, because like you can share like how your life is, you know, as like you are. Like what are your struggles, like sharing like positively, you know, and like and it doesn't have to be like about race to make friends with someone who's like not also your race. You don't have to talk about that if like you're not comfortable opening up to strangers and new people.
Two tips that I would give is one, get used to being uncomfortable. Um, there's comfortability with being uncomfortable, and getting used to being in those spaces where you're having difficult conversations is a great way to overcome that barrier, because naturally, like, sensitive topics, you're going to be uncomfortable in those situations, but they're conversations that need to be had. Also, when you approach someone of a cultural or racial barrier than you, come come to them from a place of wanting to learn more and know better, and become an ally. Don't come expecting someone to be a teacher to you and to tell you every little intricate thing about their life and their experiences, because that can come from a place and make them feel like you're trying to fetishize or appropriate their culture. So just make sure you're being conscious of just wanting to learn more. Nobody expects you to know everything, but there's a certain way to go about it than just like hounding on someone like, you have to teach me how to be an ally in this space, instead of just organically navigating that.
Yeah, I think a big part of it too is, like as a tip, if you want to be someone's friend specifically, if you want to be my friend or any person of color, is that although there's always a time and place to make room for those conversations and to approach it, as you mentioned, like from a point where you just want to learn, I think that those are important, but I think also it's important to know it doesn't you can just come over to be a friend and to just talk and to share experiences as you would with any other person. You don't have to walk into a friendship and have to and expect an entire list of questions that you need answered and how to approach being a friend. All of you here, I'm sure, have your friends and have people that you talk to, and it doesn't have to be a situation where you need to go out of your way to over navigate all these things. I think it should come pretty naturally to just talk to people and connect.
Thank you. And I'll add 2 cents as someone who is somewhere between your generation and Dave and Charlie's. That I would say that curiosity, genuine curiosity, goes a long way. And some of the best friendships that I've had have come from me in the moments where I do mess up, having that friend that's going to correct me and knowing I'm a good friend because I'm open to that correction. And so overcoming my fear of saying the wrong thing, knowing that if I get called out, that I'm going to be open to that and say thank you for telling me, and I'm going to make sure I change my behavior because I value this friendship more than my own ego or more than my fear or anything like that. So that's my 2 cents for that. So while we have an audience and a microphone, is there any closing thoughts that you youth would like to share while we have their attention? All right, well then can the audience give this wonderful panel a round of applause? Thank you so much for your wisdom and direction. So I'm going to turn it back over to Lauren now to talk us through our next pair share.
Thank you. I feel like we need just a moment of reflection on those words. Powerful stuff. So now we're going to turn it back over to you all again. Another quick pair share. Just wanted to remind you of the Touchstones community agreements. And this time, the 2 questions that we would like you to discuss with a partner or two. Why do you think it's difficult to talk about race, right? You heard some of the youth say that, give their answers. What's your answer? And second, what are a couple of things that you could do to further the value of cross-racial friendship? So what are a couple things that you could do to further the value of cross-racial friendship? So again, if you want to take, maybe we'll do about 7 minutes for a pair share before we come back together again. I wanted to thank everyone. This is a community effort for everybody who came. This celebration would not be possible if you didn't come out. The Danvers Cultural Council gave us funds, as did the Mass Cultural Council, so shout out to them. The Danvers High School students, again, they were amazing. Beverly Middle School students and Heathmere's intern, Alana Neesmith. Ms. Jasmine Ramon, the Director of Equity and Inclusion. Thank you, Jasmine, above and beyond. The Town of Danvers for their setup. Dr. Dutrice Joko, who is President of the Danvers Human Right and Inclusion Committee. And Ms. Shilpa Jacoby and the Danvers Public Library. Ms. Anastasio, the Danvers High School librarian. Our youth photographer, Auden Muchnick, aka my daughter. And our performers, Wangari Fahari and Eve Costarelli. I think Eve actually left some information on our table in the back. We're going to have announcements in 1 minute, but as we close, we really want you to reflect on a couple specific questions that we would love to have your feedback at our feedback table back there. And these two questions are, and they're actually written back there, what is something you learned today, and what's something you're taking away with you? What's something you learned today and something you're taking away with you? And then second, what is something that you want to commit to do over this next year in order to promote racial diversity and friendship? So what is something that you will commit to doing over this next year in order to promote racial diversity and friendship? And as we've heard throughout our programming, this festival is really held with the aim of inspiring all of us to do the work of Race Amity throughout the year. And if you're interested in being part of this ongoing work, we have a couple of options for you. One is to find the QR code and scan it, and you can give your feedback or interest via that way electronically. If you're not into QR codes, we do have a sign-up sheet on the takeaway table that if you put your name down, Jasmine will be getting in touch and is probably thinking about organizing some informal gatherings to continue conversations like this throughout the year. Heathmere has a table too that if you want to be informed about our events throughout the year, please sign up on our mailing list. And we have some tables by nonprofit organizations that are doing the work, important work throughout the year. The NAACP, I think they might have, did they leave? But I think April from Juneteenth, North Shore, would like to specifically talk about some exciting upcoming events. So again, there's lots going on in our region.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to invite everyone who's still here. We are having our Juneteenth celebration next Saturday, June 17th at the Lynn Museum from 11 to 5. We're going to have some vendors, some performances, food, and weather permitting, we will be outside, but we also have space inside the museum to hold our event. So I invite everyone to come down, and thank you for inviting us today.
And April is at a table, so grab some information.
Also just want to mention that the North Shore Juneteenth Association will be joining us back here in Danvers as well. So a week from tomorrow to celebrate Juneteenth. That celebration will be from 2 to 3 p.m. Monday, June 19th, and it will be right in front of Town Hall, so you can't miss us. We'll get to hear from a poet, they'll be singing, and again, we'll be joined by this fantastic organization to help spread the word about the history of that holiday as well.
Thank you all. So thanks for coming out. I think we might have a little more food, not too much drink, but we'll hope to see you next year. Bye-bye.